Okay, Emmett Fox for January 14th is titled God is Love. And these things he's talking about, the main aspects of God. And let's see, there's 7 main aspects that he discusses. One is God is life, God is truth, God is love, God is intelligence, God is soul, and God is spirit, and God is principle. And but for right now, today he's talking about God is love. The third main aspect of God is love. God is not loving, but love itself. And it would probably be true to say that of all of the 7 main aspects, this is the most important one for us to practice. There is no condition that enough love will not heal. The Bible deals with the nature of God, and as the scripture develops, the idea of God becomes clearer until toward the end it says, God is love, and he that dwelleth in love dwelleth in God, and God in him. And that's from 1 John chapter 4, verse 16. And another one from John's Gospel, chapter 13, verse 35. By this shall all people know that you are my disciples, if you have love for one another. Actually, he says, if you have love one to another. When there is fear, there cannot be love. The best way to rid yourself of fear is to realize divine love. If you love God more than you love your microbe, your sickness, your grievance, your lack, or your fear, you will be healed. We have all heard many stories of exceptional people who were able to go among wild beasts in the jungle without being hurt. And there are many other histories on record of people who passed through extraordinary dangers of other kinds quite unscathed. To realize God as love is the remedy for fear. Divine love never fails. But the important thing to realize is that divine love must be in your own heart and cannot operate from outside, so to speak. When your prayers are not answered, it must be because you have not fulfilled the conditions of the law. And 99 times in 100, it is because you are lacking in a sense of love for all. Practice love every day and watch your thought and watch your tongue and watch your deed, that nothing contrary to love finds expression there.
Thank you. So our speaker today is Lori Kay. So Lori Kay, tell us what the title is, the topic.
The title is The Journey of Being There, Facets of Spiritual Freedom. That was extraordinary that was the reading that you chose. And I'll tell you why. Because I thought I was going to write this cool talk about different facets of spiritual freedom, but I couldn't help but notice that a lot of us were struggling with physical challenges. And I know that I found the way to shift any emotional state that I want to when I want to. But I have not known if that would work for the body, for my own body, me helping me, not going to another practitioner, but me healing me. And I wondered what its connection was to emotion, and I wondered what its connection was to that kind of healing that I did for depression and anxiety, but now is spinal pain that radiates down one or both legs. And it's interesting to me that the journey of being there for me means that we're taking a journey to here. It's really interesting. The divine is ever present, omniscient, omnipresent, love. It's here right now. It's pulsing. It's not just sitting there waiting for you to find it. It's pulsing life. And we, poor us, we tend to look everywhere but where it's closest. I mean, it's kind of the divine play, right? Let's not look close enough to us. But I think when you start to look really close, when you start to dare to approach yourself with radical kindness, or even just a moment of kindness, which is radical in its own self, because we have a whole society and personal history of shoulding on ourselves and saying, hey, I'm supposed to be better than I am, and I need to get better at this. And we don't spend any time luxuriating in the us individually that is already complete joy, complete forgiveness, complete love, complete compassion, complete, you name it. We don't spend time there. We really need to. So part of what I'm going to share with you is a story that I just laughed out loud. And it's a story about healing. And it's just wonderful. When it comes to healing, healing is a mystery, but it is something that we can impact. Definitely. You know, Lori C knows this very well. Brian knows this very well. Anybody here who works with energy and emotion knows this very well, that we can make an impact. The difference between that and doing it for yourself is that when you do it for yourself, you go, oh my God, I have the power. I am able to impact, to be part of, I'm able to activate that part of me that is the free will that's been offered to me and that I haven't known was even there. It's been like locked behind a sort of sacred gate with a mysterious key. And then at some point, you realize I can actually change the state of my being, the structure of my life. And you realize, oh my, I get it. It's a whole different thing. I don't have to do that whole situation that never worked for me. I'm speaking about me, but I don't think it works for most of us, honestly, which is the supplicating prayer. Please rescue me. I mean, there have been prayers in this earthly realm forever. Prayers for peace, and yet peace comes and goes, then it comes back, and then it goes, goes, and we have things that we find that, you know, we're not being rescued from. So the answer must be different. This journey of being there is the affirming of what we truly believe, and then holding our doubts to that fire so that the fire burns off the dross and leaves us with the gold. So, for instance, and forgive me if I've told you this story before, but at one point in my late 20s, when I was just so racked out, emotionally done, and spent 3 or 4 days on the floor of my living room, just in depression, Amachi had said, call on Mother and she will always come. And I took her at her word. And so I laid there and I called to her and I prayed to her and I spoke to her and I hoped for her. And yet my focus was on the misery. My emotional focus was on the misery. Now, I've heard stories of places that Mother has actually bilocated. People, more than a couple times I've heard people talk about, I was in the hospital and Mother walked in and I just, like, all I could do was gape. And she came and she touched my heart and she stroked my cheek, and it happens to people. I never got that. But once I realized that Mother was not going to come and rescue me and lift me, I got up off the floor grudgingly and I got back to doing my life. I didn't know then my part in that play. I didn't know that my focus on the energy of depression, on the energy of I can't, on the energy of I don't know how, so I can't know how, was what was keeping me on the floor. The energy of nobody's going to come rescue me, but give it a shot, Mother. Maybe that was part of her not coming to me in that way. But I can tell you that the shift from I can't do it myself in terms of I don't have the right way to get onto my own feet versus I can't do it myself, meaning if I engage that energy, that feeling of godness, I'm not supposed to do it all myself. Those are two different galaxies. And the journey does not lie, like the higher journey does not lie in the place where I think that I can't get any help and that God is not there and I can't trust the world. These are the ways I used to feel. The journey is not, the real high journey is not there. The higher journey is when I dare, as I do now, to look at divine qualities and say, how can I take that journey of being there? How can I exercise this power in some way? Tiny way. Remember, I'm all about the 1% solution, not going from misery to ecstasy in one big jump. That is not only not doable, but it's not the kind of transformation that heals you as you go through every step, so that you heal 1%. And then when you get to 2%, that 1% door is closed. You don't have to heal that again in that way ever again. And then you go to door 3 and door number 2 shut and locked. Our journey is the journey of knowing that we're already there. And so the work that I do these days with myself, because I'm having pain, is I'm exploring. How can I want to find the place where I'm not resistant to that perfectly healed light energy. I want to find that mysterious place where I can just go, oh, and I'm healed. Now, that doesn't mean that I'm going to sit here and do nothing. That's not my way. And God does not really ask anything of us other than be on earth and do your thing. Here's your free will. I'm here for you always. And so I'm looking for an acupuncturist, and I'm doing healing codes twice a day, and which is a healing technique in case you haven't heard of it. That was very, very, very powerful on my depression. So I'm using it for this. I went out and bought this exercise ball that I hope the cats don't dig their claws into. I'm looking, I'm exploring, I'm finding the place within myself where I can come closer every time, every day, to knowing, not here, but here, knowing that I'm there. And the language of God to us humans, the umbilical cord, if you will, is that of feeling. It's not doing something right. It's not being smarter than the average bear. It's not being clever and perfect and all of those things that at one time or another have paused me on my journey. It's how I feel, and it's how you feel. Feeling, it turns out, is different from emotion. It's kind of a misnomer to say you hurt my feelings. Really, you hurt my emotions. feeling is like, I remember, I know, I've experienced how it feels to fill in the blank. I know how it feels to feel safe and held and accompanied. And when I say that, I just feel I feel a sense of deep relaxation within me. And I know that relaxation helps my body. It's been proven medically, physically, all the things that I'm not a doctor, I'm not a physical therapist, but I've read enough, I've seen enough. I know stress, tenses you out, stresses you out. And when you can find ways to feel what you would rather feel, you are helping. You are helping that healing journey. Now, I want to just read you this. I thought this was magnificent. I just love it. I went looking for stories of healing. So let me see. I have two of them actually. Let's see. Okay. So the first one is the one that I thought is absolutely hilarious. So there was a man named Stamatis Moraitis. He was a Greek war veteran who was living in the United States when he was diagnosed with terminal lung cancer and told he had only 9 months to live. He was offered aggressive treatment, but after 9 doctors apparently assured him that it would not save his life, he decided to save his money. He declined treatment and he moved with his wife back to his native Ikaria, a Greek island, where he could be buried with his ancestors in a graveyard overlooking the Aegean Sea. He and his wife moved into a small house on a vineyard with his elderly parents, where he reconnected with his faith and started going to his old church. When his friends got wind of the fact that Stamatis was back home, they showed up with bottles of wine, books, board games to entertain him and keep him company. He planted vegetables in a garden, basked in the sunshine, savored the salty air, and relished in his love for his wife. 6 months passed, and not only did he not die, he was actually feeling better than ever. He started working in the untended vineyards during the day, making himself useful. And in the evenings, he'd play dominoes with friends. He took a lot of naps, rarely looked at a watch, and spent a lot of time outdoors. At one point, 25 years after his diagnosis, Stamatis went back to the United States to ask his doctors what had happened. Apparently, the doctors were all dead. Stamatis finally died this year in Ikaria. He was 102 years old. Here's another one for you, just for fun. In September 2009, while working at his computer, Howard Schiffke felt his entire body shaking on the inside. He could see that he was not shaking externally, so he looked up internal shaking. Google pointed him to Parkinson's disease. Howard had watched his mother suffer from Parkinson's for 24 years, and he immediately went into a state of denial that he could possibly have the same condition. Howard began to realize that the symptoms had been gradually coming along for some time. Hunched posture, worsening balance, a shuffling gait, muscle pain, stiffness, fatigue, among others. 6 weeks later, he visited a neurologist and got a formal diagnosis of Parkinson's. Now, Howard went into another state of denial that his condition was incurable. After researching medications that are typically prescribed to control Parkinson's symptoms, Howard decided not to take any of them. The medications had side effects of increasing tremors, stiffness, slowness, and constipation, all of which he already had, and he decided that he didn't want to add to those problems. Howard had also seen his mother suffer from dementia, which her neurologist said was a result of her medications. So Howard immediately created a plan. His approach included daily practice of meditation, medical qigong, and switching to a vegetarian diet. Here's the part I find interesting. As the months went on, Howard found that his adrenaline-driven, judgmental, critical mind was holding him back from making progress. As he began to shift his habitual thought patterns into ones of acceptance, forgiveness, compassion, and love, he began to feel noticeable improvements in his symptoms. On June 9th, 2010, his symptoms suddenly decreased by 50%. 3 days later, he awoke to find his symptoms completely gone. Nearly 10 years later, Howard is still symptom-free. So the point of my telling you these wonderful stories is that we have the power to make huge differences in our lives. The biggest hurdle is for us to dare to try it, dare to trust it, dare to live it, dare to question those things that keep us from feeling the godness that is us. That is where I'm going. Thank you.
Thank you. Comments? Thoughts? Extensions of the idea? Let's start with Liz and then we'll go to Charlotte.
Lori, I just want to say thank you. That was very lovely, very introspective and heartwarming and encouraging in so many ways. Thank you. Thank you.
Oh, I'm so glad. Thank you, Liz.
Okay, Charlotte?
Yes, I want to say to Laura, I agree with everything you said. I myself went to the hospital today. I have been telling my grandson that I was having a problem with the walker that I was using. Come to find out, I had a muscle spasm in my back, which was causing me a great deal of pain. And I just couldn't take it anymore. So I called my grandson, but he didn't hear me call my attorney. So she, in turn, came over with the police department, and they brought the life squad. Sure enough, come to find out, from using the walker that I was using, being the way I was using it and being shorter than what I am tall, I created a muscle spasm in my back. But in all of this, I had been using therapeutic touch healing on my body, as well with my blessed lotion that I have been using. They gave me blood tests, urine tests, x-rays, CAT scan. Everything came out 100% perfect. And it showed that I did have the muscle spasm in my back, which was a knot. And they gave me a pain pill and a patch, which knocked it out immediately. Because to show you do have the power within you to heal. We all have it. God grant us all with that. You just have to know how to use it, when to use it, along with the medicine that God gave mankind to help us as well. And I'm just truly thankful today that I learned how to do therapeutic touch healing and find out that through the medicine that God gave mankind to give me the pain pill and the patch that knocked the muscle spasm that I had in my back immediately disappeared. It's a great message that you gave, Laurie, and it is true. We do have that power, and you have it. So don't ever doubt yourself. We all have it. It's something that God gave everybody. So use it to the best of your ability in Jesus' name. Thank you.
Thank you, Charlotte. Anyone else with a thought to contribute? Okay, Karen W. first, then Teresa.
I want to say that every night Dan and I has been putting his condition in front of the Lord and asking the Lord for healing. It's almost like it can't be accepted. it's not going to be accepted, this doom and gloom of his cancer on his liver and cancer on the pancreas. And with intense prayer, asking him and believing that it can't be so that he would want people to suffer, and just putting it in his hands and then believing that he can heal. He has healed with the afflicted in the past, that he continues to heal the afflicted today, and that we are asking for this healing in his name, and we receive this healing in his name because he would want people to be healed. And so it turned out that Dan had his last CAT scan recently, and it turns out that it showed in both liver and pancreas, and it started in the pancreas and metastasized to liver, and Dan was given a pretty much grave prognosis. But it had shown this last time with constant prayer and that this is not going to be so, that we are not going to accept this, and that God can heal and will heal, and asking for this every night, because this can't be so. This has to be that he's going to be healed. That it showed in the CAT scan that the chemo has shrunk his tumor in the pancreas and the liver. And so this is just wonderful. And I just think that he's amazing, and to praise him for this, because maybe there's a little more hope here, and so we're just grabbing onto that hope and going to continue that it's not going to be doom and gloom, and that this chemo is going to continue to heal him. He's had some neuro symptoms, they had gotten a little worse, but once he heard, and we've got some positive evidence that both of the tumors, not just one, but both, have shrunk, which is just absolutely amazing. And to continue believing that maybe God is going to grant him a healing, and that it's going to be so, and that's what we're going to accept. So I wanted to share that in case that could help someone else. Thank you.
That's beautiful, and congratulations. That's incredibly beautiful.
Yay.
Yay.
Teresa?
And then Cheryl has her hand.
Okay, Teresa, and then Cheryl.
It just came to me that, when we're young and you fall down and you skin your knee, and you clean it up and you put a band-aid on it, and our body heals itself, and it's just such a small fact of life. And so, like I tell my grandsons, I said, isn't that wonderful that God made our bodies to heal themselves? And I just wanted to be a part of, hey, this is just the way he made us. And it's true, but I don't know, what happens, as we get older and we get sicknesses and we get things, that it just doesn't heal after a while. I mean, and these are just the facts. So I don't know, is it because of the negativity in the world, and because we stop believing and we stop being in touch with the godness and the healing that is always a part of us, like Lori said. I don't know the answer, but I also know that, whenever my prayers usually are like, I'm worried, I'm scared, and then I finally get so tired that I just surrender. And my prayer is, guide me. You tell me what to do. And so I'm not just saying, God, please help me. Why I'm saying that, but it's like when instead of telling God, I need you to heal this, and it's just like, okay, here it is. You tell me what to do. And that's what always seems to be the best outcome for me. And that's all I have.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Charlotte? You're next, Charlotte.
I like to say to the church, I had a broken hip and a broken pelvis. No surgery, but God healed me. And with therapeutic touch healing, I was able to examine my own self and know that I was being healed, but I couldn't understand why I was having this pain in my back. And it was because of the walker being too low, and I was not able to stand perfect as I would, each step that I would take. So that's what caused the muscle spasm. But I want you to know, we have the healing, the power that God gives us. God loves all of us, and I'm truly thankful. No surgery, no broken bones, and I was healed today. Thank God for that.
Thank you. Okay, Ellie.
Ellie in the woods.
Yeah, always. Yeah, we've been getting a winter wonderland here, and as you said, Lori K, winter in the woods. You literally, I'm looking out my living room window, snow everywhere, snow atop the pine trees, the fence tops, and it's just so serene. Um, I enjoyed your talk, and yes, we do have the power, and sometimes that surprises us. My husband had a diabetic ulcer for almost the whole year of 2022, 7 months. From start to finish, it was open for 7 months and then it closed. I thought that was a long time. The doctors, however, said that most ulcers that are on the foot like that do not close until 18 to 24 months. They asked what I did. My response was kept his blood sugars low. Well, of course, I couldn't tell them the naturopathic things I used. When, when your body is hurting or you're in pain, if you ask, the answers will be there. I started giving him teas that had the healing properties in them. Rose hips, hibiscus, elderberry, blueberry. And so all the time that I was managing the outside of care, he was also getting the inside of care. So our situation now to me is no different. It's just a little bit more expanded. For those that have been getting the emails or following the emails, we found out my husband has a diagnosis of moya moya, a very rare disease. On top of it, it's Asian descent, and there's no Asian descent in him. So, okay, whatever.
Wow.
We thought it would just be, a surgery the neurosurgeon could perform, a few days in the hospital for recovery, and home. Not the case. The neurosurgeon is referring him to University of Washington Medical Center, which is a 7-hour drive from where we are. Yeah. And so, the flip side of all that, we could focus on, oh, it's not going our way, what else could go wrong, etc. But I don't choose to focus on that. I choose to focus on the fact that whatever reason the neurosurgeon couldn't do it, he's referring us to a better place that can. Better technology, better, medical research, just a better place to have it done. So, and then of course, all the other questions, us being in Idaho, going to Washington, that requires another state's Medicaid. And normally you can't have two states Medicaid. Received a call Thursday afternoon. The neurosurgeon assistant put the call in for the Washington Medicaid. It was approved in less than 30 minutes. Okay, miracle one. Miracle two, we received a call Friday afternoon to basically check him in. They received the referral, and now we're just waiting to see when the consulting and the surgery is actually taking place.
This is good stuff.
It is. And so, there's always, different ways to look at things. My husband on one hand is having a hard time with this faith piece, this belief piece. His mom died of cancer in 2012. She believed all of the healing, all of the scripture, and she passed away. So it's hard for him to believe that everything's going to be fine. And I get that. You know, you see someone with a strong faith, a strong belief system, and seemingly nothing happens. They don't live, they die. You know, and of course we can woulda, shoulda, coulda. What if she would have lived? Or, you know, could there have been something more devastating? We won't know. And so, you know, I'm kind of in the middle going, okay, I know he heals, not always the way we want. I know he strengthens, not always the way we want. Because what does scripture say? Trials and tribulations works patience. I don't want any more trials and tribulations, but to have patience,
I hear you.
right? But to have patience, well, that's another thing entirely. That patience allows you to walk in areas that may be scary. That patience allows you to be able to breathe. That patience allows you to be able to surrender, going, okay, I don't understand what's going on, but I know the divine has this. So, you know, that's kind of like where I am. It's like, okay, you've got this, and you've chosen me to walk this path for reasons I don't know yet, but I'm still here, still standing.
I think that that willingness to keep walking a path of not knowing and discovering is the path. For my money, that is the path. You know, Karen W. and her husband saying to God, this ain't it. We're not accepting this, and seeing results from that. And moving forward with the knowledge of what they've done, what they're going to continue to do, and then leaving room for, I'm speaking for you, Karen, I apologize, but, you know, leaving room for what else comes in, you know, what else occurs to them to do. I mean, just really quickly, when I was in Boston when I was like in my 20s, I found a little spot on my foot, and I went to the doctor, and this woman took a biopsy and said, you've got some weird cells there, so you need to have it removed. I went to another doctor, to a surgeon, but before I went to him, I spent every day bringing that spot on my foot into my heart and letting myself soften to the feelings. And the feelings were mostly fear at that point. And when I got there and the guy took the thing off my foot, and he went and put it under the microscope, he said, there are no weird cells there. So thank you all for reminding me of that, because now I know that's what I've not been doing with my back, with my spine. So now I'm going to do that.
Okay.
Oh, now Cheryl, do you have your hand up?
I actually do this time, because I was just reminded not all that long ago. Bob had a Cologuard test come back positive. And he was also feeling unusually sick at the same time. And so we were very seriously concerned. And I was doing all sorts of praying and, setting my intentions, positive affirmation, sending him, spiritual healing. And then, he went and got a colonoscopy done, and it was fine. It was actually, his results were very, very good. So some people would just say that, it was a false positive on the Cologuard test, and other people will call it a miracle.
Yeah, who cares? Let's see, Karen W. and then Phyllis.
What I wanted to say is, you mentioned Medicaid, and we're not on Medicaid, but that's what you mentioned. Maybe you are, but I don't know if this would be helpful or not. But Dan is on Medicare because of his condition, forced to leave his job because of his condition. And so in view of that, we had to take Medicare. And so what I want to tell you is with Medicare, if you take United Healthcare, it doesn't matter what state you're in, they will cover whatever hospital you want to go to. So that is why we took United Healthcare through Medicare, because of that. Because we wanted to be able to go any state to get Dan the best care. At one time, we were considering MD Anderson in Texas. Not that I would want to go to Texas. In fact, I don't. I've seen it, and especially with what they're having trouble, but with high humidities and things like that in summer. But if that was the best hospital, to treat Dan's pancreas, then we were going to do that. But Dan didn't want to because he wanted to go to UC. UC is one of the best around here. We had a doctor in the family. She did research for my father. It's UC the best in this area, maybe not necessarily for the condition, but UC is the best because she said it's the teaching hospitals that are the best in the area to treat serious conditions. So just so everyone knows that, and that's what a doctor in the family told us at one time. So I would refuse to go somewhere. I've had bad experience at Mercy, and I won't go into that. But also, I heard somebody else say Jewish, and then they sent Leah home, the next day, and she had to be air cared. They should have kept her that night. Had she went to UC to begin with, they probably would have. So these community hospitals aren't the best. So they're more convenient. What do you want? Convenience or to be treated top notch? Okay. So if it was me or any of my family members, I don't care if you have to pay more because of the ambulance. I heard that. Oh, well, if you're not going to go the closest one, you have to pay more. Well, too bad, because I'd rather have the top care. Are you going to pay 50 or 100 more? I guess so. Okay, to get the top care. So I just wanted you to all know that because I was misdiagnosed at Mercy, and had I put weight on the ankle that I had broken, they said it wasn't broke, it was sprained, I would have had plates and screws. So I'm telling you, they're no good. Okay, these community places most of the time. So just keep that in mind, and keep in mind if you want out of state and need to get on disability, and it sounds like he needs to get on disability, United Healthcare will honor any hospital you choose to pick.
Okay, thank you.
Not that it's medically necessary, that you just want that one. So that's all.
Dear God, we thank you for all the visible miracles we've seen this week. Thank you for allowing us to see them, to witness them, to experience them in the lives of this community and in our own lives in many cases. We thank you for continuing to lift us up so we are ever more engaged and aware of our connection inside you inside of us, as representatives of your love, your pure love, and your power over all things in this world. We thank you for enabling us to share wisdom tonight, to share joy, to share laughter, to enjoy the weird, the bizarre, and the unexpected. We thank you for enabling us to continue walking in this world and to joy in this world with you, with this community, with our families and friends. Help us to be good stewards of your love this week, good servants of your love. Help us to become wiser instead of just a bit older. And help us to kick up our heels even in the cold. We give you full gratitude and full thanks for all the good in our lives, dear God. We say thank you, thank you, thank you. And we all say,
Amen.
Amen.